What's up, self healers? Lisa Lightfeather here. Welcome to my channel, Closing the Gap. We make a conscious effort to meet you where you're at on your healing and your spiritual journey. Today, I wanted to come on and speak about the topic of destiny swapping. Is it a thing? Is it real? Can it really happen? Well, in a sense, it's not real because your destiny is your destiny and no one can take that from you. However, there are people who attempt to do this, right? And so, what it is that they're drawn to your light. They're drawn to what you have to offer the world. They're drawn to the goodness in you, right? And so, they may do things like mimic you or try to do the same things that you do. They may try to latch on to your path and make it their own. This happens all the time. It happens in the secular world, it happens in the religious world, it happens in the spiritual world. Yeah. And so what people do is that they get to a point in life where they are stuck and they feel like that they don't have a destiny of their own. Yes. Or if they do have a destiny of their own, they're not happy with that destiny. Yeah, they're not ready or willing to take on the karmic debt of their life. And so they attempt to take on the light of someone else's life. And so they may do things like, secretly be jealous of you, be envious of you. They may want to, they may want the person's following. They want the person's path. They may want the person's family, their relationship, their job, their education opportunities. They may want something like that. Anything that the person has that they've worked really hard for, and this person is not really willing to do the work or willing to accept their own karmic path or their own destiny, they will try to steal, for lack of better words, from the person that they want to be like. And so they may mimic you, they may dress like you, they may use terms that you use, they may try to literally take on the other person's personality so that they can, in the hopes of taking on the other person's destiny, right? And so it's a bit of a dangerous game to play because you can't literally take on someone else's destiny, right? And even if you can, they're wanting to take on the light of the person. And so this happens a lot with light workers as well. They want to take on the light of the person. They want to take on the person's spiritual gifts. They want to take on what they perceive to be the person's power. But what they don't see, because a lot of light workers don't speak about the darkness that one has to go through in order to be a light worker. The karmic darkness that one carries, that one has to battle or has to beat on a daily basis in order to be a light worker is tremendous. It's like you get 90% darkness and 10% light. Well, the destiny thief sees the 10% light. And that is what they attempt to capture. That is what they attempt to make their own, is the 10% light. But they don't see the 90% dark. Right? And so in taking on someone's light, if you can steal someone's light, right? You could take their light. You're trying to take their destiny. Well, you're also taking on their darkness. You're volunteering to relieve the light worker of their karmic debt. And like I said, a lot of light workers don't speak about how deep the darkness goes. The traumas that they've had to endure, the traumas that they've had to overcome, the forgiveness that they've had to give, even when deep down they didn't want to. The open enemies that the light worker has to face on a daily basis. The fake friends that the light worker has to face on a daily basis. the hidden enemies that the light worker has to conquer on a daily basis. The person only sees the 10%, which is the light. And the 10% seems to overshadow the 90% of the darkness that the light worker has to go through. Because the light worker doesn't necessarily speak about the darkness. They just go through it. Yeah, they just go through it. And so when one tries to take on someone's destiny, in their minds, they're taking on the light work. But for every side, there is another side. There's a polarity. There's a polarity that mirrors it. Yeah. And so if you have light, then there's also this darkness that one has to go through. Now, sometimes people try to take on your destiny because they think that you have it easy, that life is good for you, right? But they're not there the nights that you cry yourself to sleep, or they're not there in the nightmares, or they're not there in the spiritual battles that one has to fight. All they see is the glam and the glory, but they don't see the rest of it. And so if one is able to steal one's destiny, you're not only stealing the light, you're also stealing their karmic debt, the darkness. And to be quite frank, light workers have extreme darkness that they have to overcome. They are like narcissistic slayers. Like the narcissists have come their entire lives and they just slay them. They slay them. They slay them. They slay them. It takes a warrior spirit to be a true light worker. Now, granted, every light worker does not have the same path. But be careful whose destiny you are trying to swap with, because you have no clue of the darkness that person goes through with a smile on their face. Some of the things that light workers go through, they go through and they come out on the other side would kill some of these other people. It would literally kill them. It would literally take their lives. Because the darkness gets so dark, and the demons that come towards the light worker in human form, right? In human form. Because these demons can't come to you without a physical body. So they come at you, they take over a physical body, and that physical body comes for you in the form of a narcissist, 9 times out of 10. That physical body comes for you, someone who's a control freak, someone who wants to rule over your life, someone who wants to own you. They come to you in that physical body, and the light worker has to slay them over and over and over again. They come to the light worker in the form of sociopaths, psychopaths, antisocial personality disorder, borderline personality disorder. All these different disorders, they come towards the light worker with these demons. And the light worker has to slay them repeatedly. So when trying to take on someone else's destiny, ask yourself if that's really what you want to do. Because remember that the light is only 10%. The rest of it is on the front line combat spiritual war. And it's been going on in the light workers' life since they were born. A lot of light workers are born into trauma. They're born into trauma. Their mother was a traumatic person who had been traumatized and beat and raped and just horrible things. And they are birthed from the womb of someone who is dysfunctional, someone who is mentally unstable. And from a child, they survive this instability. They survive this chaos. And they do it their entire lives. So by the time they get to the point where they are ready to stand in their light, believe me that they've earned it. Nothing was given to them. And 9 times out of 10, when they're ready to stand in their light, they're standing in their light for others, not even for them. They're busy trying to assist others, trying to hold space for people who are going through the same things that they went through. They're busy trying to help them. And 90% of those people don't want to be helped. They just want the energy of the light worker. They want to be in the presence of the light worker. They pretend that they want to be helped. Where they don't want to be helped. They just want a Band-Aid. They just want surface level spirituality, surface level healing. They just want things, which this is a whole nother video, but they want what's called spiritual bypassing. They put on their white and they put their flowers in their hair and they burn their incense and they come to these spiritual gatherings dressed up like an angel, but they're demons. And so the light worker sees it, but they hold space for them anyways, because it's what they've come back to do, right? So people want to destiny swap because they see something that they want to, in their minds, glamorize. And light work is not anything to be glamorized. It is an assignment. It is an assignment that has been given to a person because it is part of their karmic path, part of their dharma, part of their karma. It's part of what they have to go through in this lifetime. And so one may be bored with their life. One may be in a stuck point. One may be stopped. It's like, oh God, I don't know which way to go right now. I'm in a spiritual void. So instead of staying in my spiritual void, I latch on to someone else and pretend to be them. Honey, I would never do that. Because in latching on to a person's light, you are also latching on to a person's dark. And we have no clue how dark a person really is. They hide behind white attire and behind feathers and behind rattles and behind all drums and behind spiritual dancing and behind sweat lodges and behind water baptisms and behind pupils or pulpits. They hide behind degrees. They hide behind titles. And they say, this is who I am. But you're only seeing 10%. You don't know the depths of someone's darkness. You don't know what they have the capacity to be, and you don't know what they've been through. In taking on their destiny, you're also taking on their karmic path. Be careful who you attempt to latch onto and mimic and take on their destiny, because you don't know what's on the other side of the coin. You don't know the polarity. You only think you know it. Your destiny is your destiny. Let other people ride. Let them go. Let them do what they want to do. Because in latching on to them, you're not only latching on to their light, you're also latching on to their dark. And God only knows what that is, because they only show the light. And let's face it, 80 to 75% of people are not doing shadow work. They are not facing their darkness. They only want to face the good in themselves, because it's all that their ego can take. It's all that their ego can take. When one knows their darkness, they know when to press on the gas and they know when to back off. Because I'm going to speak for myself on this. If I don't back off when Spirit says I need to back off, I could end up in prison. I'm not afraid of what someone else will do. I'm afraid of what I might do because I know how deep my dark gets. There's not many people who tap into themselves and know how deeply, how dark they can become. Because they only want to show the 10% of the light. They only want to show the Reiki healing and the yoga, and they only want to show the light work and the chanting, and they only want to show, the fact that they can massage and that they can serve a cup and that they can do this or they can build a sweat. They only want to show that. But some of the darkest people I know are light workers. Some of the darkest people I know are healers. Baby, let me tell you something. You have no clue. The reason they're great healers is because they've had to heal themselves over and over and over and over and over again. And so when they see your sickness, they recognize it. They're familiar with it. And that's how they know to hold space. That's how they know how to hold space for you. Because they're familiar with your darkness. How are they familiar with it? Because they tapped into their own. It's not the people who know their shadow that are dangerous. It's the ones who don't know their shadow that are dangerous. Those are the ones that end up on the news and everybody says, oh my God, I didn't know they could be that way. Well, neither did they. So be careful when you try to destiny swap with someone, because in trying to take their light and mimic their light, you also attract their demons. And if you don't know how to handle those demons, if you don't know how to work with those demons will demolish you. The reason that light worker knows how to handle their demons is because they've been battling with them since the day they took their first breath. And so they recognize the spirit, they recognize the energy, and they've learned how to defeat them over and over and over again. So I said all that to say this: is destiny swapping real? In a sense, no, because you can't take someone else's path. But in a sense, yes. You're calling on their energy. You're calling on their light. You're mimicking them. So therefore, you are also calling on their demons. You're calling on their darkness. And don't sit there pious as if you have no demons. We all do. Just some of us know our demons better than others. And the ones who know their demons, who have befriended their demons, who have made their enemies their ally, are the ones that are the true light workers. If you don't know your demons, if you don't know what you're capable of, you're not a light worker. You're a pretender. Somebody had to say it. Because there's a lot of pretenders in the spiritual community. A lot. A lot of spiritual bypassers, a lot of surface level healers, a lot of surface level healing. Got so many band-aids you can't even see them. It's just surface level, surface level, surface level, surface level. Walking around with titles and certificates to say how much of a healer you are. And you haven't even tapped into your own darkness, your own demons. But you want to tap into someone else's light. That's crazy work. But anywho, do you? Because when you pull on someone's light, you also pull on their darkness. So be careful who you tap into. Be careful who you try to be like. Because you have no idea of the wars that they go through on a daily basis. You have no idea of what they go through. In the physical, the mental, the spiritual realms, you have no idea of the war that they go through. So, in trying to take someone's light, you are inadvertently also taking their darkness. And I don't know about you, but I have enough darkness of my own. I don't need anybody else's. Anywho, that's all I have for you today here on my channel, Closing the Gap. We make a conscious effort to meet you where you're at on your healing and your spiritual journey. If you're feeling my energy and you like my vibe, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification so that you know when I upload, and don't forget to leave a comment. We'll chat with you later. Have a good day.